We're continuing our ride through the Old Quarter of Hanoi on a cyclo. It's a kind of pedicab where you sit in the front seat and your driver is pedaling behind you. You get a front row view. It's really kind of a magical feeling to be rolling along in the cyclo because you're in the traffic, you're in the midst of everything, you're getting a great view of these unusual sights going by, people with push carts and people walking, other people riding their scooters, people walking next to you. So you're in the midst of it all as if you're walking, but you don't have to exert any effort. You're just sitting there watching the world glide by. Well, you can walk through the Old Quarter of Hanoi. That's really fascinating. And we'll be doing that with our local guide, Kong, who's going to take us on a very extensive walking tour through the highlights of the Old Quarter. You can also ride on a cyclo. This is what we're doing now, and it's very comfortable. Sit back, let your driver do all the pedaling for you. And the sights are just amazing. There's a lot of beeping of horns, but you get used to that after a while. The noise of the big city. There are motorcycles everywhere. That is 95% of the way that people get around here. They don't have cars, they have motorcycles, little motorcycles, 100 cc's, 150 cc's, big enough, it suits the purpose. These streets are really like an outdoor living room for the people. They're socializing, they're chatting, they're making things, they're eating, heading up towards Dongsun Market. We are very much in the center of the old town. You see here the route on the map to give you some idea of where we've been riding along on our cyclo. These are the very busiest streets of Hanoi. Of course, other parts of the city are a little bit more modern in the sense they have wider streets and a lot more automobile traffic and some modern high-rises. There's quite a few skyscraper condominiums that are being constructed in Hanoi. But in this old quarter, things are pretty much the same as they've been for hundreds of years. It's been like this. So here's the big market. We'll be taking you inside here in another episode, show you this food market, and they've also got fabrics and other things for sale. There's little street markets around the Dongsun Market, selling a variety of things every night. These streets go back even as far, you could say, as 1,000 years ago when Hanoi was first established. It's a very ancient city with a very illustrious past. There's a flower market section. Every street has its own theme. One street will be selling hardware goods and another is selling plastic buckets and things. There'll be a street that's selling modern hip clothing. There's a street that's selling the old clay pots for your garden, and people walking around in the middle of the traffic. There's what the pedicab looks like. The cyclo drivers are ready to take you on a ride, and you want to negotiate before you get into the little buggy and get a deal on the pricing. You can figure paying about $10 for an hour for a private tour, which is a very fair price for both of you. And there's a family of 4 on that scooter. The rules of the road call for helmets for drivers and no more than 2 people on a scooter, but often they bend those rules, of course. And you'll notice that there are some modern shops here mixed in with the older, more traditional shops. Some of them have air conditioning and most of them are just open front, the way the shops have been here for hundreds of years. There's a lot of silk on sale. That's one of the main products of Vietnam. Very high quality silk. They've got terrific cotton clothing. They make leather goods. They really manufacture most of the things that you see for sale here. Of course, some of it is imported from China and elsewhere, but it's all decent quality and a very good price. Well, it's getting late now. You see it's nearly dark. There's a little bit of lingering twilight. The shops are still open, and we are heading back in the direction towards our hotel eventually. At twilight, it's beautiful lighting. You get to see all of the street lights, the headlights, and the natural twilight. It's a great time to be out here. Well, it's evening rush hour. People are heading home or heading out to a restaurant to find some dinner, but the shops are still open. They stay open pretty late here, and of course at night it's very safe and the temperatures are quite comfortable in the evening. We are here in the early springtime, which is a beautiful time to visit Vietnam. The bakeries are still booming. People are friendly. Throughout Vietnam, you're going to find very friendly people. We're rolling along now down the west side of the Old Quarter and soon be driving along past One Kim Lake, the famous Lake of the Returned Sword. And the weather held up very nicely. We're on the cyclo ride for about 2 hours, expecting only 1 hour, but stayed for 2. And then just towards the end here, it starts to sprinkle. That's a great restaurant right on the shores of the lake, just on the southwest part of the Old Quarter. So the final 10 minutes of the ride, it started to rain a little bit. Fortunately, it didn't rain too much, and we were able to get back to the hotel just in time, in the nick of time. Along the beautiful lake. It's always busy here during the day and in the evening as well. Early morning, the people come out by the lakeshore and exercise. We'll show you some of that in another episode. We have a lot of different programs about Hanoi and on in through Vietnam on our recent tour. We'll be showing you Hue and Hoi An and a little bit of Da Nang and quite a bit of Saigon as well. But we found that the most exciting city in all of our visits to this great country was Hanoi. It's just a superb place to visit. You can surely spend 2 days here, maybe 3. There's not a lot of extra activities aside from just walking through the Old Quarter, doing some shopping, enjoying some great food. Here's the opera in front of us. You might even catch a performance there if you're lucky. And heading back to our grand hotel, the Hilton Hanoi Opera. What a fine spot. And there's a quick recap on a map of the route that we've been taking through the Old Quarter, but don't worry about those details if you hire a driver. Just tell him to take you around on his favorite route.